And I'm back. So, to complete this chapter, let's continue and talk about speciation and extinction. Polyploids, and we remember from a previous chapter, a polyploid organism is an organism that has multiple sets of chromosomes. Instead of having a normal 13, it has 26. The example we're using here is cotton. The cotton plant originated in two places. There was Old World cotton, which is found in Asia and Africa, and then there's South and Central American cotton. What modern day agriculture has done, we have taken the South and Central American cotton, we've crossed it with the Old World cotton to produce a sterile hybrid cotton. That sterile hybrid cotton grows, it does grow. It produces the cotton bolls. It produces a very nice cotton. This plant, however, is a polyploid plant. It produces seed, but the seeds won't grow. There's lots, I grew up in cotton country in South Arkansas. There's lots of uses for cotton. The cotton farmers would pick the cotton, they would take it to the cotton gin. At the cotton gin, the cotton would be separated from the fibers, which would be baled and sent to the textile manufacturers. Then the seeds and the extra stuff made a product called mote. The mote would then be further separated. The seed would be removed from that. All the husks and all from the seed would be used in for one purpose, and the seed, traditionally, the seed would be saved and then replanted for the next year. Cotton seeds that grow in Arkansas now the cotton will not grow from the cotton seed. So every year farmers have to buy new cotton seed because they're having to get it from the manufacturers of the seeds who are doing this. And they take this, they get the seed, they get this, then they grow the cotton. That's one of the problems with modern mechanized farming, and the reason modern farming has become the industry that it has become is because of patent laws and some other things. Farmers can't do many of the things they used to be able to do to save money. For instance, if they want to grow cotton or they want to grow soybeans, they've got to buy a new seed every year, whereas 60 years ago they could save seed from one season to the next, and they didn't have that expense. Nature is usually a continuum from complete reproductive isolation to continuous intermingling. We may not be able to detect the barriers. Again, determining the type of speciation is difficult. A barrier is not necessarily the same for each species, so sometimes those little micro environments that we talked about in the previous lecture, those micro environments are sometimes tricky to deduce. What is the difference? Why is it happening? A mountain range, a river, an ocean, those are easy. What's the difference between the soil in this strip of land and the soil in this strip of land? That's difficult to do. Speciation can occur at different paces. There are two concepts or ideas of how speciation occurs. One of them is called gradualism. Another one is called punctuated equilibrium. Here we start off with a flower, a historical flower. You see it's purple. Then eventually through many stages, it's going to become here's me got my original purple, but we've now got a slightly different looking red flower and a slightly different looking white flower, all from this same ancestral organism. Gradualism says that takes place over a large expanse of time, in other words, gradually, with many intermediate organisms. See, we start off here with the purple one, then we've got one that's still mostly purple, but it's got a little bit of red here, and you notice the shape has changed a little bit. Here we've got one that's got some white in it. Here we've got one that's almost all white. We've still got my original purple, but still it's changed significantly from here. And then you see after this group of generations, and ultimately you get to the final product, or the modern ancient species, modern multiple species. But again, it happened gradually. Punctuated equilibrium, on the other hand, says that there are periods of very rapid evolution. Very quickly, this organism diverged into these three. And then maybe these three stayed static for a long time. And then again, over a very quick geological time frame, maybe just a few hundred years rather than tens of thousands of years, you had another burst of evolution which got you here. So again, here, this happens over a long period of time, then this happens over a long period of time, and this happens over a long period of time. But the change to the modern is gradual, whereas here, the change is rather quick. Punctuated equilibrium is often reflected in allopatric speciation. Again, geographical features can change rapidly. You can have a burst of evolution following some upheaval, such as a volcano or a flood, while long periods of evolutionary stability would take place in between. In other words, you've got a lot of stability happening here amongst these organisms. Then this mountain range gets thrown up by two tectonic plates colliding, or a tectonic plate colliding way over here, shoving this land forward. There's a fault line there. Boom, the mountain range comes up, and we are now isolated. Extinctions. A speciation event will often occur after a mass extinction, after almost all of the life in a geographic area is eliminated by something. Then there is a way for organisms to expand. Organisms can go into areas that they weren't able to go to before because something else was there, and things are able to speciate. That is the theory behind what happened between the end of the dinosaurs and the rise of all the mammals. After the age of dinosaurs, a few million years, we had the age of what are called the mega beasts. There were huge mammals. There was the mastodon. There was the giant ground sloth. There was all types of huge. The original North American bison was a very large creature. The dire wolf was a huge animal. And theoretically, what happened was, at some point about 65 million years ago, there was a mass extinction event. For millions of years, the dinosaurs had roamed the planet. They had been the major living animal species on the planet. They had filled all the niches. They were the predators. They were the scavengers. They were the prey. They were the herbivores. The mammals were, for the most part, all little bitty creatures living in hiding. They were hiding in the hollows of trees. They were hiding underground. They were hiding because if they weren't hiding, they were being eaten by these guys. And of course, these guys are being eaten by these guys. But then something happened about 65 million years ago. The theory is that a huge asteroid hit in the Yucatan Peninsula, in what is now the Gulf of Mexico and parts of Mexico. And a huge ash cloud was sent up. The sun was blotted out for years. Almost virtually all the plants on the planet died. Almost all the life on the planet died. And all of the dinosaurs died. Well, we've kind of changed that story now. We don't think all the dinosaurs died. We think some of them evolved into some of our modern day birds. But the dinosaurs, as the dominant creature on the planet, stopped. All of those niches that the dinosaurs filled, the predators, the herbivores, the scavengers, those were now open for other animals to take over. And the group of animals that took over were the mammals. The mammals began to fill all of those niches that the dinosaurs used. These little tiny mammals would start to expand and get bigger and faster and stronger. And there's the often incorrectly called the saber-toothed tiger. It is not a saber-toothed tiger. It is a saber-toothed cat. Its actual scientific name is Smilodon. You know, the big teeth that smiles. Smilodon. That's the woolly mammoth. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to be willing to bet it's some sort of an early prehistorical deer species of some kind. Extinction marks the end of a line. All of these lines that you see here are some type of extinction event. Now, they are not referred to all. They're not all referred to as mass extinction events. But many medical tests and procedures use DNA technology. We can also use DNA technology to determine when we can find it, the origin or where things came from. You look at the DNA of the human being, you look at the DNA of some other organism, and you can tell their degree of relatedness by how much DNA they share. Again, here's the mass extinction. Fossil record shows evidence of 5 mass extinctions in the last 600 million years, most of them due to major environmental changes. Now, what was causing those environmental changes? Massive volcano eruption could cause an environmental change. Asteroids smashing into the planet, causing a giant dust cloud that blocks out the sun for 5 years, could cause environmental changes. Human beings being stupid can cause environmental changes. All of those things can lead to environmental changes. The reason that we believe that about 65 million years ago, a major asteroid smashed into the planet and sent up a dust cloud that took several years to lay, and that's why all the dinosaurs died, etc., is because if you look at this sample right here, a rock, there's a little white line in it. That white line is on periodic chart. An element, there you go, an element called iridium. And iridium is not an element that is found in any great abundance naturally on the planet. Iridium comes from off planet. Now remember, meteors, rocks, things are hitting the planet all day, every day. So this is something that's here. But there's no reason for a big line of this iridium to exist. The only place iridium comes from is off planet. So if there's a great big line of it in all of this rock, that means that at some point a whole lot of iridium came onto the planet at exactly the same time. And here's the deal. This level of iridium is found virtually all over the planet in exactly the same layer of the stratum. You go back 65 million years, give or take a few million, and there is a band of iridium right there. That's why scientists say there was a massive asteroid hit the planet, sent the thing up into the air, and it all settled at the same place at the same time. Therefore, that's what caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. This is called impact theory. Suggests that either a meteorite or a comet caused the dinosaurs to become extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period. The 6th mass extinction is happening right now. Now, we could all debate, and we're not going to, but we could all debate, is this a natural occurrence, or is it man-made, or is it some combination of man-made and natural? I tend to think it's the sort of combination of things. I think that the Earth is cyclical. The Earth's climate changes. I think human beings are probably speeding that up. I don't necessarily think that the way to solve that is for the government to give everybody an electrical car. And my rationale behind that is if they give everybody an electrical car, that's going to be a whole lot more electricity that's going to have to be generated. And how are we going to generate that electricity? We're going to have to burn coal or oil or natural gas. I'm sorry, but windmills and sun, while they're wonderful additions to petrochemicals, they're never going to completely replace petrochemicals. And my colleagues and my other friends who doubt that say, well, look at the countries like France that has all of those windmills and they produce all of their. No, they don't. They produce about 40% of their energy by wind and solar. The other 60% is produced primarily by nuclear power. So I guess we could get rid of our oil-fired plants that make electricity and replace them with nuclear. But as long as there's cloudy days and days where the wind ain't blowing, solar and wind, while wonderful additions, are never, in my lifetime anyway, going to completely replace the burning of fossil fuels. But humans have profoundly altered the environment by causing habitat loss and fragmentation? Absolutely. Creating pollution? Absolutely. Introducing non-native species? No doubt. And over-harvesting? Absolutely. There's a nice little documentary on, I think it's on Netflix, it might be on Amazon Prime, but it's called Seaspiracy, S-E-A-spiracy, and it's all about the seafood industry and how things have altered in the seafood industry. I was, before watching this and doing some reading, I was a profound eater of seafood. I'm now reevaluating whether I want to eat seafood or not. Just for those of y'all who are, animal people, and you want to eat dolphin-safe tuna, watch Seaspiracy. There is absolutely no such thing as dolphin-safe tuna. Plate tectonics can also play a role in mass extinctions. The Earth's shifting land masses have drastic effect on life on land and in the water, changing climate and rearranging coastlines. Again, theoretically, about 280 to 200 million years ago, all of the land masses on planet Earth were in one spot. It was in a supercontinent called Pangaea. If you look very closely at this, there's South America, there's Africa, there's Australia, there's Antarctica, there's Europe and Asia, and there's North America right there. You can sort of even see Alaska. Then around 180 to 130 million years ago, the one supercontinent began to break up into a northern continent, which is called Laurasia, and a southern pair called Gondwana. It's sometimes called Gondwana land. Then, about the time of the extinction of the dinosaurs, everything started to sort of separate. Here's Antarctica and Australia. There's India. There's Africa. There's Europe and Asia. There's North America, and there is South America. And then eventually, the continents get into the configuration where they are today with North and South America. And I know it's hard to see the way they have the globe set up, and they have it spread out. But if you look at an actual globe, this area right here of North America and this area right here of Asia, which is an area called the Bering Strait, is only about 50 miles. The joke when, the female governor of Alaska, Sarah Palin, was running for vice president, she made a comment once that from her state you could see Russia. And of course, the media, who did not like her for whatever reason, and I don't care, but they didn't like her. And she did seem to be kind of flaky, actually. But for whatever reason, they didn't like Sarah Palin, and they said, well, she said you could see Russia from her house. Well, that's not what she said. She said from her state, you can see Russia. And if you, up here in Alaska, there's a group of islands that run down off of Alaska. They're called the Aleutian Islands. And if you get to the southernmost of the Aleutian Islands, you can stand and look across the ocean, and you can see a landmass over there. That landmass is Russia. It's Asia. That's only separated by a few miles. So, the classic example, or biological classification, is based on common descent. So we start again We'll go all the way back to about week 3, where we talked about the domain system and things with domain eukaryote all have eukaryotic cell, and there's several million species of those. Then we have a kingdom plantae. There's about 375,000 or so species of plants. Phylum, Anthophyta, about 235 of those. Class, Liliopsidae, about 65,000 of those. Lilies, about 12,000 of those. The family, I'm not even going to try to say that one, about 785 of those. The genus Aloe, there's about 500 different aloe plants. And then the aloe vera plant, which is one species. But all of these 500 things in genus Aloe, all have some things and a number of things in common. Therefore, it is theorized that they derive from some common ancestor. Again, most inclusive, the largest taxon is the domain. The least inclusive taxon is the species. As you move down this list, the number of species is going to go down until you will eventually get to only one. There's only one member of something that has its genus and species name. Taxonomy organizes species into groups. Same domain and kingdom. Same domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, and family. Domain, eukaryote. This is an octopus. This is a fly. Therefore, that is the same domain and the same kingdom. But that's about all they've got in common. They're animals. Can't say anything more about them. But you look at the orang and the chimpanzee, they're in the same domain, they're in the same kingdom, they're in the same phylum, class, order, family. The genus and species is all that is different between these. I don't remember the genus and species name for the orang, the chimpanzee, unless it's changed in the last few years. The scientific name for the chimpanzee is Pan, P-A-N, troglodytes. Pan being the genus. Cladistics is a way to show relatedness among organisms. It shows inherited ancestral traits, and it also pinpoints those things that are derived not from an ancestor. So if you look at this group right here, this is 3 groups of mammals. You have the platypus from Australia and New Zealand. You have the kangaroo from Australia, and then you have the placental human mammal from all over the place. Ancestral mammals, all mammals have mammary glands and hair, and there are some other characteristics as well for mammals. However, there was a divergence that occurred to where some mammals still lay eggs. Bet you didn't know that, did you? And some mammals give birth to live young. So on a cladogram, the thing that separates right here is giving birth to live young. Everything up here lays eggs, and there's actually a couple. The platypus isn't the only one, there's another one. And then gives birth to live young, the kangaroo and the human. Now, here's another break point. Well, what's the break point here? The break point here is these are what are referred to as placental mammals. A placental mammal nourishes the offspring in a placenta until it is almost fully developed. The kangaroo, for instance, does give birth to live young, but a live baby kangaroo is about this big. And it is still in its embryonic stage when it's born. It's got to make it, and they're not born in the pouch either. That's what some people misunderstand. The female kangaroo's birth canal is right under her tail, and she gives birth to a live young. That young then crawls up her belly and over into the pouch where it finds the nipple, and it attaches itself to its nipple, and that's where it continues its development. In placental mammals, and those are called marsupials. In placental mammals, the baby develops to a much more developed state, and then it is born. Cladograms, again, are diagrams showing evolutionary relationships. Each little break here will represent what is it that separates the crocodiles from the birds and the non-avian dinosaurs. Well, that's what this break is. What separates crocodiles from lizards and snakes? That's that break. What break is it that separates the turtles from all of these? Well, it's whatever happened there. What separates the mammals and then the amphibians? So a cladogram shows you the taxa at the branch tips, and then it shows you over here the last common ancestor between all of these, whatever that animal is, and then the last common ancestor between the reptiles. Here's something, that turtle is a reptile, all of these are different, and then each one of these individual lines is called a clade. A clade is a group of organisms consisting of a common ancestor and all of its dependents. Therefore, the birds, dinosaurs, and crocodiles have a common ancestor, which makes them a clade. So this is one clade. This common ancestor, these are not clades, but this is a clade. Physical similarities, which can result from convergent evolution, are not the focus of cladistics. We don't worry whether they have scales, whether they have hair. That is not the focus of cladistics. Because remember, physical similarities can result simply from evolution happening in the same way. Wings, for instance, wings would not be a part of a cladogram, because wings have not only been developed by birds, but they've also been developed by mammals, bats, and insects. So only those physical similarities, only those things that can be the result of a common ancestor are the focus of cladistics. Common ancestors will indicate evolutionary relatedness. In other words, put simply, while these three organisms are closely related, they're in the same clade, but because they have this common ancestor, or this ancestor in common, these two are more related to each other than they are to the crocodile. Birds are in the same clade with reptiles. Linnaean class Reptilia included the turtles, the lizards, the snakes, and the crocodiles, but it excluded the birds. Birds were originally in a group called the avians, or Ave. Most authorities are now doing away with the Ave group and simply placing the birds in the reptile group. But again, the original Linnaean the Linnaean concept did not include the birds with the other reptiles. Endotherms do not form a clade. These are the endotherms, mammals. However, the last common ancestor could not have been endotherms. So birds and mammals are endotherms because they maintain a constant internal body temperature, bird, mammal, but they're not a clade because they don't have a common ancestor. Yeah, they have a common ancestor here, but then there's a much more recent common ancestor there. Extrafloral nectators protect life. An extrafloral nectary is a plant structure that has arisen independently over 100 times in plant evolution. That's this structure right here. Ants and wasps are attracted to the sugary nectar. So attracting them helps protect the plant from herbivores, because if you're a herbivore, you do not want to be eating a leaf that is covered with ants or wasps. Makes sense. You ever been stung by a wasp? You ever been bitten by an ant? And researchers analyzed the rates of speciation in 6 different plant lineages. Plants with extrafloral nectaries show higher rates of speciation compared to plants without them, suggesting that they play a role in the evolution of many new plant species. If you have any questions, again, please email me either trussell@uaptc.edu or, as always, in the course messenger under the contact link in your Blackboard shell. It's been really fun this semester. Hopefully, for those of you who are continuing with Pulaski Tech in the fall, things will get back to normal. We're looking at full class sizes unless things change over the summer. Hopefully more face-to-face classes. For those of you moving on into micro or A&P, I may see you in the future. If not, good luck with your academic endeavors. If I can ever be of any assistance to you in your future, just reach out, let me know. I'm always more than happy to write letters of recommendations to programs or other things if you are at that point in your education. Again, it's been fun. If you haven't done your paper yet, please get that paper to me. If you want to replace that test, at least I'm pretty sure you're the class I told that you could do the paper on the endangered species to replace a bad test grade. Get those to me. You can either send them through Blackboard or just attach it as a document to an email, and I can print it off and grade it that way. Again, it's been fun. Hopefully next fall we'll be back to a little bit normal life and COVID will be in the rearview mirror. Have a great rest of your semester, and we'll see you in the future.